It will be live streamed today. So I'm finna put my camera down because I'm finna comb my hair. I'm finna put the camera down.
I know, right? I picked a random day. I was like, you know what? I feel like going live today.
Hey, everyone.
You good?
We might cut it back on in a minute.
Gotta mute myself. Okay, there we go. Cool. Welcome, everybody. What's up? Oh yeah, let me go ahead and record too. Oh wait, hold on. Can't hear nothing. Oh wait,
well, it's popping.
Cool.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, man?
Man, I've been on the go. You already know.
I already know, bro. Sag vibes.
Man, Saturday day too. I cleaned the whole crib.
Word. Hey,
yeah.
That's some good energy. This Saturday had kind of like a real strong reflection vibe. You know what I'm saying? Kind of gathering yourself, seeing where you've been at, seeing where you need to kind of create new pathways and things of that nature.
No, I'm glad I'm not the only one feeling that, because that's kind of the eccentrics of my class today. Is just intending to take steps back and identify core self-beliefs of yourself, of what you're even using as your tangible principles and moralities that are kind of like, I don't want to say they're flexible in themselves, but the things that you've been allowed to emulate as generations of this idea are that process of mutable earth, of coming in the shapes and forms of new logic. So basically, that I'm basically going to be outlining which chakras go with which astrological placements that we have according to our charts and things of that nature. So it should be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like when you put the notes in the group chat, I was like, okay, yeah, this about to be some real good stuff, because it kind of correlated to what you were saying. I remember when you had the previous class talking about how to feel the planets. You explain your process of reading through a chart is like tracking the travel of the spirit as it kind of hit the different key points of the chart.
Real.
And go ahead.
Oh no. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, so that already is mad dope, but it's like seeing the art in the different shapes that we make and kind of going through the process that we develop. But before we get into that, welcome back, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Welcome back. Happy to see y'all. Today's class is going to be led by Zay Quarter. He has something special to present to you guys today, talking about subconscious progression, and that's kind of what we was chatting about just now. So for the most part, how's everybody feeling this Saturday? How y'all doing?
I feel swell.
Well, I see you got a new couch.
Quite well.
Yo, Dave, bro, when I saw that, I was like, yo, Spirit said, hey, since you're doing the podcast every night, here's a couch for your ass.
Right. Get it set up.
Real shit.
That's what I'm talking about. Man. I think, Veronica, were you about to say something?
I don't know. It's been kind of a weird day, I guess, but productive.
Yeah, we have just kind of like the vibe overall vibration.
Just like the vibe overall, just still kind of like feeling out the end of like this whole full moon thing. It's really taken me for a ride. So just quietly observing.
And that's what I was just saying, kind of like a reflection day, like almost sorting things out. How about the rest of you guys?
It was cleaning day, so that's nice to get that out the way and enjoy this class.
Yeah, right.
Without noticing anything I have to do. So.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, getting that all out the way.
Yeah. That's how I work. My moon's in my 6th house, so it's like I got to get it all done, and then I can enjoy myself. It's Leo in 6th house.
Oh yeah.
That's my Venus.
Yeah.
Everything gotta look spotless and shiny.
Yeah, and then I can relax.
It just went speaking of Leo, it just went direct too, so it's kind of bringing that good clarity when it comes to the things that we appreciate, even kind of freshening up our spaces and things like that. So that's really nice. That's good.
I'm not aware of that.
What about you, AJ? How you been?
I'm all right. Just doing my Saturday chores and things like that.
Yep.
Going to the store, get ready for the week.
Yeah, just preparation day.
Yeah.
How about you, Magic?
Same. I've been cleaning too, and it's been a weird day.
Really?
I feel like I feel like this is the most like moodiest Saturn day that I've had. Like, I don't know, it's been productive, but a little bit like, oh no.
Yeah, I took some crazy naps today, so it was like been one of those times. And I like decided to go back to school, so I'm like trying to get used to writing papers. So that's what I've been dealing with this stuff.
Fun. Write papers.
Sometimes I'll be trying to write, and then like I'll just like write one sentence, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right, like take a whole week to write 5 sentences.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of makes sense though, as far as the day being moody as well. Like, the moon coming off of that full moon energy is like, we always had that little period of time where we kind of got to readjust and let things kind of wash over. But the moon in Aries is really creating like a vibe, because the moon. So what else is in Aries is Chiron as well. So this is like, it's hitting us in a way where we're kind of thinking about or reading to mistakes that we made. But it's not all negative, because in a lot of ways, kind of like I was saying about just the full moon taking place next to Fomalhaut, there was already a lot of releasing needed to be happened. But going into Aries now, it's like not only are we now looking at our mistakes that we made previously, but it's also in opposition. It's like it's also we got Uranus going direct. So with Uranus going retrograde. Uranus retrograde is making us think of ourselves, our individuality, re-examining those things and seeing how that compares to like whether or not it's been worth it, whether the changes we've been making is actually bringing value to our life and not, see where we are on that part. And Jupiter is about to go retrograde as well. So Jupiter, as far as how we're looking at our experiences right now, a lot of this energy is bringing us to more introspection, just to kind of understand like where we're at, because everything's been changing so much in general, but we haven't really had a time to see it for what it is and take it further. Like everybody's been kind of going through those time moments.
So time been moving fast as hell.
Yeah, like just real quick, what I'm saying? Everything is happening right before our eyes. We can't even think too much about it. And ironically, we in the sign of thinking the most, overthinking and overanalyzing, seeing every detail. So even this Virgo energy is, it's creating in conjunction with the moon. So as far as how we feel, we don't know how to feel right now about what it is that we're working on. We just know that, okay, I need to know where I'm at as an individual, and we're still trying to balance that with our passions and what we're trying to involve ourselves with. So we're also looking at relationships and seeing, what they've been made of, and Venus going direct also is bringing clarity to whether or not we've been placing our value in the right areas, because that Venus in retrograde energy was heavy. That was kind of putting us through a lot of things where we had to check ourselves, check our ego, check who we was allowing in our space, whether or not they was giving us the right attention. But then we had to check ourselves to see, hey, am I being too self-centered? Am I being too fixed in my way of me thinking I deserve whatever it is, what I'm saying? So all that coming together now where, we're this the first planet direct. So when it comes to our value at this point, that's on the chopping block. Venus in Leo is squaring the energy I was just talking about in Taurus. So when it does come to our values, we're really reassessing those things and really deciding to move forward with where we need to be investing ourselves in and kind of just going through those cycles of analyzing what's going on. So last week, Thursday, it was our last class, and we talked a bit about our accountability partners and things like that. So AJ, were you able to reach out to your accountability partner? I think you were partnered up with, who were you partnered up with? Oh, Israel. Yeah, perfect. Y'all are the two ones that wasn't here. So how did that go? Were y'all able to reach out to each other?
Yeah, we talked to each other for like, I think it was last Sunday or Monday. It was last Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
We talked for a little bit.
Cool. That's good. Anything y'all talked about specifically, or y'all just kind of just caught up with each other?
Yeah, we caught up with each other. Then I'd asked him like what was one thing he had to overcome, like being like a business owner or whatever, like once he started like cutting hair and things like that.
Wow.
He was talking about like time management and things like that. Is he here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's in here.
Oh, he could answer what he said if he wants to.
Yeah. Just my answer exactly. What was it? It was like managing time and resources, with being self-employed, because you're not relying on, a boss and scheduling and stuff like that. You're having to calculate and do all that all yourself.
Yeah, that's the biggest part. Like that's where a lot of people make the most mistakes, because I know for me, even time management and I think we was even talking about that, like allocating resources and just how essential that is to, aside from business in real life, you know what I'm saying? Just how you go about managing your time and things like that. So those are like life skills, That's good though. I'm glad y'all been able to connect through that. I was telling everybody that so we're gonna switch partners every Saturday. So at the end of class today, we'll discuss, our new partners and stuff like that. But the whole the point of it all is to establish these relationships, but to continue them on. So even though you'll have a new partner next week, and throughout the process, still being able to, we spark you. Everybody, we're gonna get a chance to plant seeds with everybody as far as just getting to know each other and what we're all involved in. So also as far as like full moon experiences where y'all, I know AJ, you were working on developing your just astrology presentations, going about making videos. Were you able to see certain energy during a full moon that kind of gave you confirmation, or was it kind of like
I was like, I wouldn't say it was like a bad full moon experience, but like I was like definitely like in my feelings type, and just like it wasn't part of like the video production, but like I did have like other people and like I know like asking me about like what was going on in the full moon. So like there's like I was talking about like them off, like I'm in my feelings hella today, like what's going on in the sky, or like it was like that, and like I don't know, I kind of maybe took that as a confirmation, as like, like, okay, other people see me as like I'm like into something, right?
Yeah,
like I'm
knowledgeable and in that space,
So, but I mean, like as an overall, like I was in my feelings too, shit. Like I was able to like supply with some like type of wisdom, I guess you could say.
What house is the full moon in for you?
The 7th house.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So relationships and your relationship to yourself type shit.
Cancer rising.
So how about you, Israel? The full moon.
Man, the only thing that my flex pipe on my car broke, and I noticed that during, I don't know if that's a full moon thing or a Mercury retrograde thing, but every retrograde of some sort, I have some kind of card. I know that's so mundane, and that's just my experience right now dealing with that.
I don't think that's mundane at all. That's your golem of your vehicle. You feel me?
But I am noticing though that if this is, I feel like it's pretty common sense though, taking care of problems before they arise and keeping up on maintenance, and that translates to everything, keeping up on maintenance for whatever realm you want to take that into. Just kind of made me reflect on that, I guess.
No, that's a ritual, bro, for real.
Yeah, man, that's powerful.
For real.
Okay, cool.
That's all, I guess. Yeah.
No, real shit. Like you said, it might sound mundane, but it's really those things that just lead you to certain spaces to contemplate. Like, okay, well, why is this happening? Like, why I gotta have the car insurance and stuff? You know what I'm saying? What is that restricting you from and all that stuff? So, it be making sense. That's cool stuff. Cool. So I think for the most part, we can jump right in. Jay, did you have any presentation you wanted me to throw up? Or
I was just gonna ask if you could have the charts on hand of everybody.
of everybody?
Yeah, we titled it subconscious progression, programming, or identification, however you want to think of it. The starting point that I'm going to be introducing is identifying the chakras continued. So now I want to look at it through the lens of, we have these human characteristic oriented chakras that are based in this vessel that we inhibit, aka the need to eat, the need to sleep, the need to correspond with the physical sensations going around us, like the sunrise and earth, or other people. Basically, this is other people, other things, other nouns going on with this. We've came into be into the same space, so that gives us certain desires within this being, and within the way that we desire to orient. So in a sense, this is also going to be like, we're going to start from the bottom and build our way up, and this is going to be the esoteric way of standing up, if you feel me. And so the planets in that same aspect are what we've created as an exterior, an externalized version of how we intend to satiate these internal energies. So it's us putting external awarenesses out here, or putting these angles, these abilities to perceive for ourselves, essentially based on these desires, and our way to correlate that as a form of travel. It creates a narrative within ourselves. It creates a matrix of what we intend to get awareness from, what we speculate, and what we go back to. So I'm getting us to the spot of intention, and then just reiterating how powerful intention is. And so with us clearly identifying which chakras are which, and I put out my ideas that come to mind, and it's an open floor to everybody, teacher or student, teacher, to what ideas you have per chakras. This is gonna like essentially start to incorporate how you can see planets allocated into a certain modality or a certain sign. Like I have a Mars in Libra, I have a Mars in Cardinal Air. So a lot of my passions come into the form of new passions, new sprout, and so I can separate my sun sign and my Mars sign based off of, okay, so that creates a sextile Libra to Sagittarius, because that new idea creates a new journey for my mind to wander off. Sagittarius fire to roam. That's just my example, but my intention is, once we all get correlated with these first chakras, then we're going to get into the chart. So without further ado, I want to identify the root chakra, which I think of as buying freedom. You have to have a satiated root chakra in order to use your chakras above. If you don't feel safe, if you don't feel secure, if you have any type of fear, that shrinks your ability to use any type of outside awarenesses. So that's why they call it the root. That's why we use that etymology and that word, and a lot of different vernaculars of explaining something that is foundational, starts off the initial trajectory. So when I say buying freedom, this kind of trickles into your ability to be patient, and your ability to be your own esoteric lawyer, your own discerner. This is your initial test of integrity, but it's on the most sensitive space. And so oftentimes in these moments, you'll begin to see your first agreements that you make with the world around you, of, you're a human too, you should know exactly what this feels like. Like that type of mentality derives from this type of space of this is where we're standing. This, no matter what, we're still like no matter how abstract we get, we're still bound to this vessel. I don't know if I'm connecting, but what I'm trying to get across is, but I say I don't know what I'm trying to get across is,
Because I feel you, because
No,
that'd be,
you ministering to my soul right now. Keep going.
yeah, because you hitting
Thank
that,
you.
you hitting that point that's like talking about what kind of connects us as far as human natures go, because like everybody can kind of like what we are in survival mode about might be very different. Like somebody might be worried about bills while somebody else is worried about love matters and things of that nature. But the the desperation energy and that space you get in when you feel like your back is against the wall, you try, like you said, not feeling safe, not feeling secure. It leads you down certain pathways where I could see where you're saying, you know, you're operating strictly from that route. You're operating
like you're on your instincts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And at that point, it's like kill or be killed, fight or flight type stuff. So,
and that's when you can start to associate that pops up a few different type of witchcrafts in my mind off rip,
Like
where you
oh,
can
I'm sorry
start
to interrupt, but I just want to add, it's like someone who has PTSD, they have a fucked up root chakra.
right, right.
Mm-hmm. Because and to get in, let's talk about how you even get in there. That's a great segue into the root chakra for real. Is the way that you would even get into a position to give yourself PTSD, give yourself, not be induced. But that's a little bit more of defensive, which is my second point to the root chakra. This is more so of what we do intentionally, first and foremost, the energy we still put in. And when you find yourself into a position to give yourself PTSD, you're making exchanges and agreements at that root level. You're making agreements to where you think you can get one up, or you can or you can outline a space without actually putting in the real work, without actually being an observer and seeing what that really correlates internally as well as externally, and having true confirmation. You're making an agreement outside of you. So that's why like people in those situations are usually induced by an environment. So that's why I say, if you chose PTSD, if you find yourself investing into an energy that ended up scarring you, that's the type of agreement you were making, was thinking that you could trade basically validity, because again,
They lost the power of intent.
Yeah, because you made a co-agreement at that standing ground, so you're forever crutched to something.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like the energy is using them now.
Exactly. And if not, then they have to go through the esoteric hand washing of going through every hand that they shook and explaining why they can't be business partners no more unless you agree to this new contract. And that shit, or the alternative to that is just completely ghosting your area, and now you just gave up. You just like left a lot of awareness, which I'm not gonna say that's good or bad, but another essence of my class is I'm trying to help us learn how to not leave crumbs behind, because the act of sinning is missing the point, and we're forever expanding. So while you can certainly pack up and restart, I like to maintain purity to where you can still find that space again. Clarity, I guess you could say. But secondly is defensive explosiveness. This is when it's less about you choosing what the fuck you develop PTSD from, and more about the situation that you found yourself in, disposition wise. So like more environmental factors, certain things that happened to you as a kid when you were like a knee high and above, like those type of things where you weren't really in a participating position of control. That creates defensive explosiveness. And today I was literally just watching a video on some Masonic ass dude talking about how anger is a learning experience, and in which I thought about the word anger, how we're talking about etymological travel. You say the word anger and you realize you go up and out, which is that 90 degree. And I thought about it. It's like every time that his angle was that every time he acts out of anger, he ends up regretting it. He's like some 40-year-old, 50-year-old dude. He's like, in my life, and granted, this is my perspective, every time I act out of anger, it's something I end up regretting. And I thought about it myself. I'm like, I don't know if our blanket statement is true, but I most certainly can see that direct direction. And I can see it in the sense of the times that I was slowed down and whatever that word is, alchemically transmute that angry feeling into a more sensible, logical, rational ability. That's when you start getting into Saturn energies low key, because then you're stepping into the, okay, well, aside from me, separating from me, 7, what should be done. I know we just jumped to the crown chakra, but
no,
that's like slowing down your reactions to shit, pretty much. Like,
yeah,
like that root shit be like that Mars, like Aries can sometimes be impatient and shit.
Yeah, and even like, because this resonates with me a lot too, because in my chart I got Mars, so I got Mars retrograde, right, as far as my natal goes. So with the retrograded Mars, it's been, and it's conjuncting my moon, so it's like a situation where I've experienced a lot of times me like just going off of what might feel the most comfortable, to jump into that aggression, to jump into the, just getting into it and trying to push out my energy forward. Like you said, the anger, it goes, it's pushing outward. And what I
I mean,
realized
even
is that,
even think my bad to cut you off real quick. Think about the shape of the Mars symbol with that triangle at the end of it, in that corner.
that
Yeah,
sharp, what I'm saying? And like, whenever that happened, it was like, like you said, he said, he put it like as in regret. And what it really is just in that space, you let out things that, again, aren't quite thought out, and they're prone to kind of ricochet and possibly hit you back. And, whenever I'm in a space where I slow that energy down, because like a retrograde in general just has you, it always put me in a situation where in those moments of just being wrapped up in that emotion, specifically anger, aggression, or too invested into motivations, it was always a situation that brought me to slow down. It forced me to kind of look and reflect on what was put out, what was said, and seeing where certain things now can no longer be retracted. And now it puts you in a space where you're in that process of kind of realizing what you destroyed. You're able to kind of put the pieces together next time to know, okay, yeah, like I need to make sure I'm completing that thought before I just push it out, or I need to make sure I'm considering what that is before I'm indulged or engulfed in it. You know what I'm saying?
That's when cleaner rituals are clutch as fuck. Because if you can make sure you clean everything spotless to where your mom would be happy with it, kind of thing,
Right.
or whatever that allegory mean to you, that's when you're completing the whole train of thought in your mind with
Exactly.
something so mundane and so easy and so simple.
And in that process, it's like everything you put out, you can stand on. You know what I'm saying? Then that becomes justified anger. That becomes passion. You know what I'm saying? Or you're passionate. You can stand on what you throw out. It's not just you because when you do get into the lower octaves of Mars, it's like you're on a bias. You're on an individual bias. You're coming from that strict individual space to the point where you're creating separation. So if that separation isn't done with intention in the right area, you're at a loss. You know what I'm saying? You kind of shot yourself in the foot.
And I like how you said the separation, because I would agree. And that leads me to my next point, in the sense of I would agree, because I think the sacral chakra is where we first get into our diplomatic sense with other beings, and we perceive them as such. Root chakra is more like you're a part of this. It's everyone against me. It's you know what I mean. It's
and your
coming
desires and shit.
Right.
Yeah, your sacral chakra is like your first perception or conceived desires, like you because you got your 1 2. So I think a lot of people get stuck here. You can identify a lot of demons of the minute they feel like they're somebody or something, they'll flex on you a little bit, but it wouldn't be a way that they would wear to their solar plexus. They wouldn't really identify as that character. They're just in that, like, this is my moment, this is me,
right.
This is what you know what I mean?
Because that's far so, away from that solar plexus chakra. So it's like,
yeah.
That sounds like you describing Aries energy. It sounds like Aries archetypal energy.
Yeah, I got Aries move.
Right.
I think Uriel said one time too about, like, that's why Aries be exalted in the sun, and you can let it get to your head or some shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
because it's exalted there. Yeah,
Mm.
Sun is exalted in Aries. So like when you are acting and creating an identity from, what happened? I think Jackie, you
out of that impatience and that Martian shit. That's what it does. Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. I was looking at the wrong thing.
You're all good.
I was gonna say, just that you're identifying with your desires. You're thinking you are your desires. So you put yourself in a space that
I love that you said that, because the one thing I want to reiterate before we go any further is literally the whole point of being able to slow down is to understand that you become a different version of yourself, a metaverse version of yourself, whatever allegory you want to put on it, when you observe a different subject, when you observe a different realm of thinking, a different realm of intention. So when you step into these different desires, you are making different agreements. And so you can realize how complex certain relationships and certain dynamics are after you can identify your own agreements with just your own desires and what you need in the first place. You can start to understand how certain relationships trigger 4 or 5 of these chakras at once, and that they're tugging you to one side, either or. And that's why it's so turbulent, because this person is not on agreeable terms to make it, or thing, and I like to say noun, like whatever the fuck it is that you're in agreement with is not on agreeable terms with the energy that you want to be in. And you might be the disagreeable person with logic. Like, you might not be on agreeable terms with logic, or whatever the circumstances may be. But when you can sit down and identify what those agreements are, first and foremost, you can see is this something that is really worth upholding. And then regardless of what you think it is or isn't, you'll at least have confirmation bias to where you'll be able to buy in of your own perception. You know what I mean? Because you're aware of what you're doing. You're not lying to yourself. You're 100% in.
That's
no
like
half step.
mastering your intentions and that shit, because now you can be intentional. You can't, operating from a space of lack. That's why, like, and I had said this too, because like especially around the full moon times, like everybody be, like being fulfilled is such a it's a choice. It's something that you gotta really, it's cardinal aspect, because we're talking moon stuff, it's an internal feeling. You have to initiate that. So whenever we're going through a full moon time, it's like it's always a situation where you're more liable to just kind of act out of that survival energy, act out of that energy of feeling like, damn, I didn't put this together. You kind of get hard on yourself sometimes too. Is if the energy.
That's why Scorpio falls in the moon.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's the process that a lot of Scorpios go through, or even 8th house is going so deep, into something that is like, damn, like, you be creating different situations for yourself that might not even actually be that way. When you come up for air, you start to realize, like, coming into them higher chakras, and like, okay, wait, I can kind of see the whole circumference now.
Veronica was talking about her disposition with the full moon, and me and her are both Leo rising, and so that puts this in both of our 8th houses.
Word.
And I was echoing that same feeling this week, and basically when I basically reached out to Dave just to iron sharpens iron kind of thing, to put a perspective on the table and just get another person's perspective. And so I think I felt exactly what Veronica was feeling, in the sense of this: the reflection is the mind that we compose in the 8th house, and that's how you can kind of like that's why we ask, I guess, where this house is and where you feel it. My intention is to lay them out and how they exist simultaneously. You feel me? Right. Within one shared space. Right. That moves us into, so when you identify, and you said mastery as well, my second point was defensive mastery in the sacral space. Is so when you and you can be master at a shitty thing too. So don't think that this is like, this implies, when you get this step, it implies that you're necessarily doing it right. It just means that you did it, kind of thing. You passed. You just might still have the wrong intention, but that's we still have other ways that we can define that and where that would be and why it would be at a different location. But you clean this space up. But once you identify,
I was gonna say shout out to Mooney, because I see you posted a video talking about actions speak louder than words, but that don't mean you did it right. So that's kind of like a play on that, just in the sense of like, you completed something, just like you could manifest some bullshit. It's like you completed the step, but what you got left with.
Hey, that's why I think you brought it to my attention actually about Cap being exalted in Mars, because that's like that cardinal Earth. Like you have the power to initiate that manifesting Earth.
Yeah. Yep. But
it can do what you want right now. Yeah.
But could be, you got it.
Real shit, but no, in that space, that's where defensive mastery comes in, because it's like once you identify those first desires and you know what the fuck you want, you can now at least realistically account for the weak spaces and the strong spaces within that intention, within whatever temple that would then resonate, because that will put you into a specific energy that would reveal a certain disposition of you being aware of why you are where you are. And if you accept that spot, then you can just get to work in building the type of fortifications that type of disposition would need. The idea of a Metatron star, not to get too far off, but the idea of a Metatron star is to be centered. That way you can just build in all locations. You can have watchers in all directions, aka all the angles, versus being polarized. But that's not necessarily to speak bad on one side or the other. It's just to give you an idea of what these things are talking about with using these different shapes and using these different locations with correlated to the zodiacal travel, which we correlate to the forward and backwards progression of our chakras and the way that it slows down time and the way that it speeds up time and things of that nature. But back to get on topic, the solar plexus now is identifying our intended self-perception. So if we have these first desires and we're doing defensive mastery, meaning we're making ourselves complete, we're making a sound idea on who we are that's going to formulate this persona that we are now interacting with as a spirit and getting information from. So this is the main narrative. This is the main character that you are now looking at as who is going to be held accountable for this. And you're aware that that's not you to an extent, because otherwise you wouldn't feel at odds with that thing at times if you made mistakes. But a way that you can identify that mistake is by knowing what your prior chakras are telling you, which would have been, what were your first desires? Why are you perceiving this as a mistake? And then that gets you into identifying where. So when you can see where your sacral chakra, which certain planets are going to have certain affinities with certain chakras. We know that Mercury is associated with the throat. We know that Jupiter is associated with the third eye, but as well as the sacral. So when we start to look at why those things are those things, you can start to look at your own associations. Why my Libra Mars, my Libra sacral energy, why my sacral energy is going to play out to that Libra Mars a lot of times in the way that it does that. As well as your other asteroids and whatnot. Number two within the solar plexus is identifying your self-concept and sonder. So it's identifying how you even think of being an individual, and identifying what you think of interacting with other people that were to share that same ability. And that is you directly approaching the concept of what this thing that you're in is, what we're being is. But it's diplomacy with another person, because the allegory of the sun being ourselves, that would imply that we're all in the shared space. Again, that's the further allegory to the stars and the constellations. So that type of self-observation builds you types of logics and morals and principles and disciplines on how you regulate yourself and your own maneuver within those atmospheres in respects to identifying the same characteristics and understanding what type of star you are when you're in those type of dispositions to have this type of chemical reaction going on, where the star is about to collapse and it's sucking things in, calling it a black hole, or this star is about to blast and be a supernova, get out the way. AKA don't if you feel me, don't be a part of the formation that's boxing in the way that a certain logic or principle plays. So when you can identify your own concept of what yourself means, or what those allegories are even talking about in the sense of fitting in your own space and having your own chakras wrapping around your own space, which we all are quite familiar with, being in the space of astrology. But just seeing the relationship of your own travel, you'll get to feel your own rituals will mean everything to you. Your ability to be present with those virtues and principles will be related to that whole character's travel versus just those intentions, just those desires, because now you're going a step beyond the last chakra and you're now making a connection to the actual intrinsic integrity of that character and its ability to be what you think you intend for.
The expectations.
Yeah. Because that allows you to care. When you're allowed to care, when you're allowed to care, you're dangerous, because then you're really paying attention to every second. You're not falling asleep because you really want to care about everything. So your ability to make an integrable character and by making rules that doesn't make you ever be like, yeah, that person they were justified treating me bad. That's your recollection of a contract that you signed for a person to get a let off on you because you were getting whatever the fuck you got, whatever you think you got. You know what I mean? So your best to avoid situations like that is having that character integrity of knowing your space versus another person's space. That way you can always have integrity, making a virtuous connection back to the space and not bringing any sunken place energy that you collected back into the space.
I think that right that you just said is essential for this age that we're in, because a lot of things are pointing back. So even like, let's just break it down, like the concept of like, okay, yeah, it's an age of Aquarius, right? If we're gonna talk about that, just as far as an overarching theme of this current period of time, like needing to go back to community. And one of the most core things about like issues, when you first think of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna bring a community together, the first things you start to be aware of is like, well, egos, like this person's gonna feel like this person's in that space, how are we gonna, because it's bound to happen. Everybody has their own space, so you wonder like, okay, how can we coincide? But it's not, you know, as far as individuals, we all have to have that character integrity that you're explaining. And a lot of this energy, you know, springing board off of that, just relating it to astrology, the current North Node being in Aries, a lot of people are going through that because there's the North Node that's in Aries that's dealing with us having to come to grips.
I was just about to say that shit too, yo.
You know what I'm saying? We have to come into that to the full embodiment of our individuality, while at the same time that South Node is hitting us with the responsibilities of a relationship, because that's the whole thing with even Saturn being exalted in Libra. There are like contracts. Every relationship, there's contracts, and those contracts are established on a subconscious level based upon who you think you are, who you think they are, and who they think they are, and who they think you are. And
your perception of that.
Exactly. And you can only have one half of that. That's why why they even say communication is key, because communication plays as the bridge between one person's subconscious to another person's, as far as what we both can be aware of.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like
that's why I be like harsh on people about, like, if you know something, motherfucker, you should be talking about it, because you know how many people out here don't have nowhere near as much awareness as you that could probably hear it from you, type shit. Like
exactly, that need to hear it from you.
Like,
that's
we can't just have a few motherfuckers talking. That's my point.
Yeah, and yeah, for real, because it's like everybody's on a different level, and so somebody will be like, you know, like even like Jackie, how like the other week, you know, we was talking about that video that you had made, and it was like, you know, you made the point about landing and the point and stuff like that, but I that's even, you know, that's why we was encouraging you to still put it out, because it's just like,
because guess what, everything y'all talking about is like I've been processing. You was asking about how the full moon been. I've been processing for like a week or two, and it's like making sense. And that's why I guess my spirit didn't lead me to make the video, because I wasn't finished processing. Because a lot of it was pertaining to this. Because what y'all talking about is how I'm looking at because it was about my birth chart for those who weren't there. But that's how my individuality is, and how I can see what was created, and then I can look at myself and understand how to make that really be in alignment. You know what I mean? And really have a good understanding of why it ain't in alignment and how to fix those things, or if just to get some type of correction.
It reconnects you to the golden rule, hence the golden color associated with the solar plexus, like that. Like that's why they call it the rule. It's teaching you how to identify the individuality in yourself and others, and your ability to create golems with the same respect as you would respect yourself. Externalize awareness, because you're not really consulting with that person. You didn't really consider with that person their true feelings. You just consider what you think, your own discernment of what makes you feel good or bad, and you projected that person treat others how you would want to be treated. So your ability to do so is like the essence of what I'm saying. You feel me?
Yeah.
This also reminds me of when you said, Dave, in our conversation, how you wanted to make sure that you knew what the fuck you was talking about before talking about it.
And you know, in being very aware of when, you know, like Jackie was just saying, like when things are just not in alignment. Because again, like there's times where you could be trying to push something out, you could be trying to do something, and it ain't working. And so you kind of be at that crossroads, and it's not that, oh no, you shouldn't do it. No, it's just you need more time in that space, or you know, there's something you need to be more.
And really, it do be in alignment. The fact that it don't work out is the alignment, because you're not. If you knew that, then you can correct it, so you could be in alignment. And that's what me understanding some of the stuff that y'all talking about, dealing along with the chakras and stuff. Because it's like as y'all are talking, things are just connected and puzzle piecing together. So I'm just listening and taking it in. But if we knew how to do that, then we could be able to see how we even made that mess over there that we have to clean up, thinking that it was another reason, when really that's what we did. We created that. That was our point, but we didn't know it on a subconscious level.
We missed it. Yeah, it's shout out to Zay had said that too, about like, you know, when it comes to your integrity, when it comes to your character, like you said, moving in purity, where, you know, one person could be trying to sweep things under the rug, but then there's another person who's already in, you know, acting in their truth. Like at a certain point,
I want to give us all a tool as to why they're doing that, and you already are probably aware of this, but it's like those people have on steps A and B, the root chakra and the sacral chakra, they've already borrowed agreements to what is accepted outside of us. So it's like that sensation of they could still double cross you and just give you that two-faced Gemini. They could mesh back into the matrix that you met them in, the scenario that you met them in. And that's why it's so important to know your intention, to know the idea of a magic square. Because if you know what desire you're even stepping out in the first place, you know what type of results you can get with this type of relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in having that integrity to know where you at in all of it, it helps you, because you, like you said before, like when it does come to sin and missing the point, you create these different time moments that come back to bite you. And it's like one thing is one of the biggest lessons I'm being revealed now is like you can't move forward without cleaning up all that mess. And no matter how you chop it, your spirit is always going to bring you back to something that just is it's like a roadblock, or just something that to bring your awareness to be like, oh wait, there was that one thing I didn't clean
it's
up.
You. Yeah, it's you.
We need to have the shadow government listening to shit like this so they can stop being retarded, yo.
Bro, well, like the whole concept of the shadow government, because I was thinking about the fucking fact
harder
that
than them.
facts. But I have a job that is basically any job that you have that's gonna have customer support is me being in the fart cloud of any engineer who knows how to make the shit that we're selling. Because that means that he knows every single problem that I could ever be talking about in this whole ordeal. You feel me? And so I'm in his little fart cloud. So that's when I started to look at the shadow government the same way, where it's like they're just in the fart cloud of us not knowing how to govern ourselves. So it's it can never ever make tangible sense. The more you look at it, the more you start thinking, well, we just took care of our own shit. We just did our own shit.
At this point, the shadow government will have too much blood on their hands anyway for us to ever think we're going to see the progress.
Sharing game.
It's way too much. They got too much to go back into it. Like it's a process. That's why it take a whole lifetime to solve these issues that really is just a thought or a feeling that should take but a moment, but it's a process. So for us, we can't see what the shadow government, like it's too far.
And when you get too far, and when you get into that telling
I don't
stories,
say we can't see it. Let me take that back.
And when you get into telling stories, it's like you got to keep the story running. So they just like, you just got to keep this thing running. We don't care what you believe from it. We got to keep it running. So at the end of the day,
this shit crazy.
And once you start to, that's another reason why I want to do a class where we're identifying chakras, is because when you understand how to pick apart the integral parts and the shit that you got to leave aside, it's safe to enjoy life again. You know what I mean? It's safe to be a part of whatever routine that you would have usually been a part of. You're gonna have a lot less connections to the nouns that you would have been to, but you're gonna still be able to be open the way that you were when you were less aware of the things that went wrong, because you'll be able to navigate what would look like in the esoteric space of jumping mountaintop to mountaintop, because you're taking away the epitome of the peak of what you're supposed to be looking at. You're not there for the lower reasons. You're not trying to build a narrative that you climb around the same thing over and over again. That's not your intention. Your intention is just to get what you came. You know what I mean? And knowing how to allocate that. So when we were talking about knowing what to think, once you know yourself, you know what to think, and you're able to speak on the shit that you do. In the throat chakra, it's identifying the rationality or the logic that is backing or supporting your ship's movement in the space anyways. So when you lock eyes in a certain space and you start to identify yourself, you start summoning these rules, these identifications, these things that you think that you have to uphold, these certain characteristics about yourself that become true in that moment. If I start thinking about basketball, I start thinking that, okay, well, I'm likely a point guard, I'm likely a shooting guard, probably not you know what I mean? We have these different agreements. As soon as we put our minds into different spaces and we start to reflect our own light into what that light requires, what that light has designed as far as archetypes or characters or participants. And then you can see kind of how that's another way to it's air. It's another way to flesh out your previous chakras, because you're going to again see how flunked out or how far off your original idea of perceiving yourself is going to be connected to those initial desires that you had. And or you're going to now be creating the ideas and the logic of what makes sense for what this space actually requires, what this space actually needs now that you're experiencing it. And it might go against your initial contracts that you started when you were more in a holistic state of not having the awarenesses of respecting the other observers around you.
It's like a filtering system.
You never perceived more than area around you that might have triggered disrespect. so that creates you in the pocket to become like narcissistic in a sense. So once you get to the throat chakra, you start really thinking. That's when you start to really activate that process of discerning yourself and making your way into that full 7 number of Libra, separation from yourself.
And able to relate, basically, and like
that
like from the throat and then even down to the waist, like bending over backwards or creating that that effort to bend and
relating to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And like this is real key too, because part of the class is all about entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So if you did want to take it to a space where what you guys are working on and things that you got going on that you're trying to build for yourself, whatever brand it is that you have, like this is where it starts, because it's really about the character. Your character is what's going to be giving life to whatever it is that it's what brings life to
that's the energy you carry. That's just important.
Yeah, because on the back end, it's like your brand can be one thing, but people often, it's like over time, it's inevitable. We're gonna start to peel back the layers and see, well, who is actually pushing this?
Who embodies the lifestyle?
Exactly. And then I'm glad you said that, because embodying,
if you do it, you know it.
Exactly. And so whatever it is that you do, when it comes down to, Ursula, your blog, AJ, when you make videos, Magic Seeds, the music you make, Lyra, making sure I said it right. No, Lyra, my bad. I'm trying to get it right. I'm in the habit of saying Lyra. But what you do artistically, these different things, it's all about, if you're pure and you understand your character on the inside, then you start to have a lot more awareness, clarity on how you can reach out to another, because when people tap into your brand, they're going to get pieces of who you are behind it, and that should come first. And then when you're thinking about how to put your brand together, that becomes more of again, going back to what we were saying before, intentional. You can make intentional movements that might be a small shift to you, like a change of color, a choice in font, but it's going to speak that much more because it's more in alignment with who you are. And whenever you're doing things on that level of like mastery, or that level of just confidence, because it's a certain level of confidence you can start to establish.
Once you know yourself better, you could utilize yourself better.
Exactly. Exactly. Perfectly put. Keeping it simple. You know how to use yourself, know where to place yourself, how to place your energy, and like I said, small things that you make as adjustments are gonna mean that much more. It's gonna be the reason somebody sees your video and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe, or I'm gonna go ahead and ask him for a reading. I've experienced this. It's like certain decisions I've made. Next thing I know, a lot more things start to resonate and click. Certain synchronicities start to happen, as far as people just acknowledging something that might be completely unrelated, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I made this character adjustment. I made this choice to present myself in this way that's more accurate to who I am, who I know myself to be. And then you start to see things end up, panning out for yourself in different kind of ways.
Mm-hmm. And I think the second thing I put in the throat chakra is, what is the tonality of your narration in the sense of how do you speak to yourself? Who when it comes time to you trying to make those strides, what is the tonality? And it's not necessarily in an overall sense, because I think that's a little too monotonous, at least for me. I think it's just more of like slowing down and realizing what situations bring out certain tonalities, which situations trigger pessimism out of you, condescending self-talk, because what this is doing is it's letting you know where you have agreements prior in your solar plexus or your sacral chakra or your root chakra. You agreed to be a loser in a realm where you really don't have. There's no, but matrices. I don't know what you would call it. Matrix. That any matrix, whatever the fuck, any matrix that will require you to be a winner or a loser is a dog eat dog environment, and that's up to you what you want to believe in, and you choose to make real, kind of thing. So I think those are type of contracts that are self-detrimental, because then when it's time to go to the throat chakra, you're gonna have turbulent inner travel, when you start to reach contracts that you're not supposed to speak on. You have like NDAs in these spaces. And what I mean by that is like you agreed to have no business, no ground to speak on here based off of actions that you allow your son to be seen in, based off of the intentions that you decided for your root chakra. You get what I mean? Like trickling all back and forth. This is the act of standing up when we discern this, because this is stacking our chakras up based off of that initial Jenga block or whatever you want to think of.
Stand for something or fall for everything.
Like it's kind of like just like clarifying it in a way.
Because when you know
literally
where you stand, like when you know where you stand, you're able to hone it. Like you harness a different kind of energy in that space.
Yeah, right.
We could literally make this into like a Venn diagram worksheet for elementary schools. Like
facts.
You know what I mean? Like this shit isn't complex at all. It's just more of slowing down to identify, because what makes it complex is the complexity of us at this age and at this speed. We confuse a lot of times.
And I was gonna say, the energy, the situation we in too, just like as far as society goes, because like you said before, like everything in the world tries to convert your mind into thinking it in terms of me versus you, what I got, my survival.
Yep, that's why the whole system caters to them, the root and all that shit.
Exactly. Putting everybody in that space where genuine relationships and connections start to become more foreign. And especially now, with the different technologies available in the space we in, because like right now, another industry finna go on a strike. It's like they create these scenarios where people's, as far as ability to gain that stability that everybody wants, it's putting everybody in that space where it's like, damn, like, I mean, the strain it puts you in. I mean, it's already just making everybody on edge. And then on top of that, we trying to have genuine connections. And so like, getting back to what I was saying too about like trying to form these communities.
And when they have everybody lost in the root, it's hard to have a clear mind and communicate properly. But continue, my bad.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because you coming into these communities with all this baggage and stuff like that. So you're gonna see a lot of just conflict and like, luckily we are in a space to deal with the subconscious. So that's why like the way we come together is already worlds apart. But a lot of these just different things we see in the world and how they're choosing to come together, it's purely on what you got, what I got, what you can do for me, what on a deep subconscious level. Because on the surface it can look very friendly and very but over time it just reveals like, hey, when it comes down to it, once my resources is looking like they can't be supported, or when I look like I can't get my 1-2 on, I'm out. I'm gonna find the next group of individuals I could jump in, and people be having all kinds of intentions in that space.
Dangerous. I was about to say too that I think when you're when we get older, at least in my experience and the people in my personal life, it's like we will interpret our minds getting slower as we're adults, like, and thinking things take longer to work through, as far as our ability to get over shit. But I think in reality, it's because we make subconscious agreements based off of compiling the travels that we would have done at the younger ages to just whatever conclusion we allowed to densify over time, which is the idea of fossils.
Yeah, that's real shit.
That's the idea of fossils on us. You feel me? Like on our level, to where it's just instantaneous ideas. To where now you just are now thinking in that cage of where you Sagittarius made your mind. You made the map based off of what you agreed with over time.
Like reconnecting with that's why, sometimes if you compare who you are now to your child self, like there's certain things that your child self could teach the older you, bro, on some real shit.
And real quick too, like Zay, like you had said that too, as far as like as a child, a lot of the defense mechanisms you develop do come from that space of like, because as a child you have no way to defend yourself. So a lot of those things that do come from that space is like what you witnessed and went through. I don't know if you said defense mechanisms.
It's like. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at that word at all, because it's like the initial logic being presented to you is contradictory to what you think, which is the people that are keeping you alive are giving you the dogma to pull you away.
Right.
Yeah. So it's immediately fucking up your sense of logic, to where once you start trying to communicate, unless you have a person that's willing to acknowledge that within their own self, which would negate the power difference and allow open communication, unless you're in an environment with that, then you're gonna always have some type of fart cloud. And what that translates to is that's like where the sun don't shine, and that's where moss is growing, to where when the sun eventually does shine, it's like some gross ass shit is growing there.
Right.
And
It's dark.
I ain't gonna hold you. It even comes. A lot of this be from the womb, because me having kids and being into this, I done dissected this quite. I done analyzed it as far as even my kids' behavior and how it was from me, from at least from the time from me being a human up until the point that I had them. A lot of my behavior, a lot of the things I had not learned, a lot of stuff that I did learn, I see those traits in my own kids. So I know I've accumulated my own, but I also got a lot of mine from, generational curses and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's go deep.
Yeah.
You doing it is crazy. Yeah, it's raw. Because you're already gonna have like how some people have like financial starting stones for their kids is gonna be on like that esoteric ability to connect to themselves. So on top of whatever you're able to do in the physical sense, you're gonna already have your own connection to the reality of you, which sets an environment for your kids to grow up in an environment of being real with themselves, because you're gonna have that open, you get what I mean, that ability to really observe and not necessarily try to keep some fake version of yourself, which is kind of like the whole opposite point of spirituality.
Right.
Right. You sometimes gotta untangle your parents' lostness and your grandparents' lostness, and then when you untangle it, you'll see, oh, okay, that was me,
sense.
And that was what I accumulated based on my spiritual travel. Then I could see it through my lineage, Yeah.
That's why that's why stories are like how your parents named you or why you were named what you were named, or just like little random information like that will tell you a lot about yourself, because it lets you know the people that summoned you.
Day, that week.
Yeah. You know the intentions of what that was, and especially if you can look at the result of that. If they're in a happy situation now, if shit fizzled out, you can see what the reality of that intention was, because shit ends how it started. So you can understand a little bit of your karmic agreement to even spawn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Energy signature of that, of what it is you're supposed to be correcting or dealing with.
Yeah. And that leads me to talk about the first eye, which is identifying what you think you're gonna achieve. I got a few different points to this, but firstly is identifying what you think you're gonna achieve and its purpose beyond that singular moment. AKA you identifying what's in your mind and you trying to figure out what that means in this current moment, what you see for yourself, what you think you're self-projecting, you're self-connecting on the subconscious level, connecting your inner world, your inner workings, your inner intentions to the world around you. That aka what you focus on, what you give your meditations on, what you give your initial intention settings around with virtues and principles and shit like that. Number two is conceptual. Yeah.
My bad to cut you off and
No,
stuff
you
like
good,
that.
you good.
I had the live stream going on YouTube, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off. I appreciate y'all for sliding through. Want to give everybody on YouTube just a taste of what we do on in this space and stuff like that. So appreciate y'all for viewing, and we will catch up with y'all at a later time.
Shout out YouTube.
Yeah. Shout out everybody in the make sure y'all subscribe to everybody in the room. You know what I'm saying? Got Jackie New here, Magic Seas, Mooney Mercury Baby. What's your IG, Ursula?
House Star.
Say that one more time.
12 House Star.
12 House Star. We got
like the 12th house star. That's my personal, and then Ursa Wise is my financial one.
The business. Shout out to Ursa Wise. And then we got the Hang Empress. Israel, you want to go ahead and shout out your socials?
Yeah, it's just Israel Lemery's hair. That's all. Just my name with hair at the end.
Hey, we got Zay. Your name is different, right?
No. Yeah, I got Tunnel Vision is like my spiritual account, and then I got Zay Quarters is my music account.
Yes, sir. We got AJ. Go ahead, shout your stuff out.
AJ Evolution without the N.
Hey, good stuff. How about you?
That sounds like a Mexican wrestler or some shit.
Right.
like Rey Mysterio type shit.
Hey, how about you, Lyra?
It's at Lyra Thla. So LIRATHLA, and then my business page is Lyra Hearts.
Hey. Cool stuff. How about you, Free? She's still on mute. Okay.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
I'm Free Yourself on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah. And then how about you, Elijah?
I'm on Instagram, Eli360, and on YouTube, Eli360, on all social medias.
Bet. And Devin, you got anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, Instagram different, and YouTube different.
Bet. Cool. So we will catch up with y'all later.